Daf Yomi Tractate Sanhedrin, page 68a, top of the page, with the words V'ha Rabbi Akiva Rabbi Yehoshua Gemirla. The Gemara asks, and did Rabbi Akiva learn these halachot from Rabbi Yehoshua? Ve'atanya Kishechala Rabbi Eliezer nichnesu Rabbi Akiva v'chaverav livakaro hu yoshev bekinov shelo vehem yoshvin bitrakrin shelo. The Gemara asks, and did Rabbi Akiva learn these halachot from Rabbi Yehoshua? But isn't it taught in a Braita when Rabbi Eliezer took ill, Rabbi Akiva and his colleagues came to visit him. He was sitting on his canopied bed, and they were sitting in his parlor. They did not know if he would be able to receive them due to his illness. Ve'oso hayom erev Shabbos haya, ve'nichnas hurkunus benoi lachlotz tefilov. And that day was Shabbat Eve, and Rabbi Eliezer's son Hyrcanus entered to remove his tefillin, his phylacteries, as phylacteries are not worn on Shabbat. Garboy biyotzem zifo omer lehen chavirov kim duma ani shedato shel abba nitrefa omer lehen datoi v'dat imoi nitrefa hayech benich in Yisrael skila v'ois kim Yisrael shavus. Hyrcanus, his father berated him and left him reprimanded. Okay, let's go again. And that day was Shabbat Eve, and Rabbi Eliezer's son, Hyrcanus, entered to remove his phylacteries. So I guess Rabbi Eliezer ben Hyrcanus, his father was Hyrcanus, and I guess he named his son after his father. Rabbi Eliezer's son Hyrcanus entered to remove his phylacteries, as phylacteries not worn on Shabbat. His father berated him, and he left reprimanded. Hyrcanus said to his father's colleagues, "It appears to me that father went insane, since he berated me for no reason." Rabbi Eliezer heard this and said to them, he, meaning Hyrcanus, and his mother went insane. How can they neglect Shabbat preparations with regards to prohibitions punishable by stoning, such as lighting the candles and preparing hot food, and engage in preparations concerning prohibitions by rabbinic decree, such as wearing phylacteries on Shabbat? To be honest, I'm not sure what engagement he had. He was just taking them off. I don't see what the issue was, but in any case, Kevan shelo chacham shedaitem yusheves alav nichnas Yehoshua lefanav chagab amois. Maybe he was taking a very long time to take off his tefillin. I'm not sure. At any rate, since the sages perceived from his retort that his mind was stable, apparently this proved that he was stable, they entered and sat before him at a distance of 4 cubits, as he was ostracized. See Bav Metzia 59b, just to give the backstory. A famous story of the Tanur Shel Achnai that the sages ostracized Rabbi Eliezer, and so he was, I guess he was in Cherem for the rest of his life. This was the end of his life. And he was still in Cherem at this point. He was still in decreed ostracism or excommunication. It is forbidden to sit within 4 cubits of an ostracized person. Amar lahem lama batem. Rabbi Eliezer said to them, "Why have you come?" Amru lo lilmod Torah banu. They said to him, "We have come to study Torah." Amar lahem v'ad achshav lama lo basim. Amru lo hayu lo panai. Amar lahem temeani im yamusu misas atzman. Amar lo Rabbi Akiva sheli mahu. Amar lo shilchak Hashem shelahen. This is a scary statement said by Rabbi Eliezer. He asked him, "Why have you not come until now?" I'm not sure if that was a rhetorical question, because Rabbi Eliezer knew that he is in Cherem. He knew that he's in excommunication, so he knows the reason why They haven't come. But anyway, that's what he asked them. They said to him, we did not have spare time. I don't understand that. Why don't they just say, because you were in excommunication? Doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, we did not have spare time. Rabbi Eliezer said to them, I wouldn't be surprised if these sages die their own death, a natural death. Rather, they will be tortured to death by the Romans. Rabbi Akiva said to him, how will my death come about? Rabbi Eliezer said to him, your death will be worse than theirs, as you were my primary student and you did not come to study. Natal shtei zaroisa v'nichan aliboi. Rabbi Eliezer raised his two arms and placed them on his heart, and he said, Amar oi lachem shtei zaroisai shehen kishtei sifrei toira shinit godeli. Harbe toira lamadati v'harbe toira limadati. Harbe toira lamadati v'lo cheselti meraboisai filu ככלב המלקק מן הים. הרבה תואר למדתי ולא חסרוני תמיד אלא כי מחול בשויפרס. Rabbi Eliezer seems to be, these are his last words. He's saying that he raised his two arms and he placed them on his heart and he said, woe to you, my two arms, as they are like two Torah scrolls that are now being rolled up and will never be opened again. What about Tchias HaMesim? I have learned much Torah, and I have taught much Torah. I have learned much Torah, and I have not taken away from my teachers. Meaning, I have not received from their wisdom, even like a dog lapping from the sea. In other words, when a dog laps from the sea, it doesn't affect the sea one iota. I have taught much Torah, and my students have taken away from me, meaning they have received from my wisdom only like a tiny amount that a paintbrush removes from a tube of paint, which is just the opposite. One little paintbrush takes a tiny bit of paint, and there's a huge amount left. V'lo od. Moreover, not only that, אלא שאני שונה שלוש מיועס הלאחס בברסה הזו ולא היה אדם שואלני בהן דבר מעולם ולא עוד אלא שאני שונה 300 הלאחוס ואמר לה 3,000 הלאחס בנטיאס קישואין ולא היה אדם שואלני בהן דבר מעולם חוץ מעקיבא בן יוסף. Moreover, I can teach 300 halachot with regard to a snow-white leprous mark, a baheret, but no person has ever asked me anything about them. He could not find a student who could fully understand him in those matters. Moreover, I can teach 300 halachos, and some say that Rabbi Eliezer said 3,000 halachos. That's a lot. With regard to the planting of cucumbers by sorcery. But no person has ever asked me anything about them, besides Akiva ben Yosef. Pa'amachas ani vehu. Ani vehu. Say that on Hosham Rabbah. Pa'amachas ani vehu. This must be a code here. Ani vehu. Mehalchin hainu b'derech. Amali. Rabbi Lamlev entias kishuin. אמרתי דבר אחד, נסמלה כל סעסודי קישואין. אמר לי רבי למדתני נטיוסון, למדני אקירוסון. אמרתי דבר אחד, התקבצו כולן למקום אחד. Rabbi Eliezer described the incident. Once he and I were walking along the way and he said to me, my teacher, teach me about the planting of cucumbers. I said one statement of sorcery, and the entire field became filled with cucumbers. He said to me, my teacher, you have taught me about planting them. Teach me about uprooting them. And I said one statement, and they were all gathered into one place. cucumber equals 86. This is amazing. Cucumber. Why cucumbers? Wow. Amazing. I said one statement. Okay. Amru loi hakadur va'imum v'akme'a utzror hamargoliot umishkolot ketana mahu amar lahen hin tme'in v'taratan b'meshen. After these comments, the sages asked him questions of halacha. What is the halacha with regard to ritual impurity of a ball made of leather and stuffed with rags? And likewise, alas, the frame on which a shoe is fashioned, which is made of leather and stuffed with rags, and likewise an amulet wrapped in leather, and a pouch for pearls wrapped in leather, and a small weight which is wrapped in leather. Rabbi Eliezer said to them, they are susceptible to impurity, and their purification is affected by immersing them in a ritual bath as they are, as there is no need to open them up. Min al she'al gabe hi'imu mahu amar lehen hu tahor yotza nishmasui b'tayro. Ma imum. Minal she'al gabe ha'imum. Wow. Omad Rabbi Yehoshua ragla v'yamar hu taraneder hu taraneder. They asked him further, what is the halacha with regard to a shoe that is on a last? I'm not sure what that means. A shoe that is on a last? Is it considered a complete vessel which needs no further preparation and is therefore susceptible to impurity? Rabbi Eliezer said to them, it is pure. And with this word, his soul left him in purity. Rabbi Yehoshua stood on his feet and said, the vow is permitted, the vow is permitted. In other words, the excommunication that was placed, the ostracism that was placed on Rabbi Eliezer is removed. Minal sha'al gabe ha'imum. There's a shoe that is on a last. Maybe it's like a thing that's still making the shoe. Some kind of a stick or something. Anyway, the point is, Rabbi Eliezer said it's tahor. Which is very interesting because he said that the Tamar Shel Achnai was also tahor. So it's kind of like he got vindicated. He was vindicated by saying it was tahor, and he kept what his excommunication was removed with that word tahor. It's an interesting just comment that I have of that. Limotzoi Shabbat pagav Rabbi Akiva ben Kesar lelot. Rabbi Akiva was not present at the time of his death. At the conclusion of Shabbat, Rabbi Akiva encountered the funeral procession on his way from Caesarea to Lod. Rabbi Akiva was striking his flesh in terrible anguish and regret until his blood flowed to the earth. Wow. That's intense. Pasach alav bisora v'omar Avi rechav Yisrael u'prashav harbe mois yesh li ve'en li shulchani lehartzoisem. This is very coded. Wow. Rabbi Akiva was striking his flesh in terrible anguish and regret until his blood flowed to the earth. He began to eulogize Rabbi Eliezer in the row of those comforting the mourners, and he said, my father, my father. This is like Elisha. Ah, exactly, he's quoting that. My father, the chariot of Israel and its horsemen. 2 Kings 2:12. I have many coins, but I do not have a money changer to whom to give them. In other words, I have many questions, but after your death, I have no one who can answer them. Alma, we see. Mais Rabbi Eliezer Gamre? Gamre Rabbi Eliezer lo savre, Hadal Gamre Rabbi Yehoshua v'sbrena le. The Gemara returns to the matter at hand. Apparently, Rabbi Akiva learned the halachot of gathering cucumbers through sorcery from Rabbi Eliezer, but not from Rabbi Yehoshua. The Gemara answers, he learned it from Rabbi Eliezer, but he did not understand it. Later, he learned it from Rabbi Yehoshua, and Rabbi Yehoshua explained it to him. Hechi avad hachi, v'anantenan. Ha'oise ma'ise chayov, l'islamid shani. Damamar lo silmad la'asos. La'asos, yetalamad, aval atalamad, lehavin u'le'herois. Hadran aloch al b'misois. Bezrat Hashem, we shall return to you. 7th parak of Sanhedrin, Aramisos. Wow. The Gemara asks, how could Rabbi Eliezer have performed the act of sorcery? But didn't we learn in the Mishnah that one who performs an act of sorcery is liable? The Gemara answers, performing sorcery not in order to use it, but in order to teach oneself the halachot is different, and it is permitted, as the Master says, that it is derived from the verse, you shall not learn to do like the abominations of those nations. There shall not be found among you one who uses divination, a soothsayer, an enchanter, or a sorcerer. Deuteronomy 18, 9 and 10. So that you shall not learn. In other words, it is prohibited for you to learn in order to do. But you may learn, meaning it is permitted for you to learn in order to understand the matter yourself and to teach it to others. Hadran alach aramisois. Bezrat Hashem, we shall return to you aramisois. This concludes the 7th chapter of Sanhedrin, and we, Bezrat Hashem, with God's help, will enter the 8th parak on 68b.